Grand Cayman is a stunning destination, but after booking, the questions pile up like, how do you get around? How much does it cost? Is there public transportation? My husband and I spent 4 amazing days there, so in this video, I'll share how to get around Grand Cayman, from taxis to getting to and from the airport and so much more to help you navigate the island with ease. Hi everyone, I'm Antoinette and welcome back to my channel. At Frolic and Courage, I like to help you plan well, have fun, and travel the world with practical travel advice. So let's get started. Grand Cayman is only 22 miles long by 8 miles wide, so getting across the entire island in 2 hours is possible. But before you learn how to get around Grand Cayman, you need to know how the island is laid out. It's actually laid out in this shape of like a sideways U or almost like an L shape. And so here's a map of the entire island. Let's talk about the major areas and neighborhoods you need to be aware of. First, we have the West Bay, which is a quiet mix of residential areas and popular attractions like the Cayman Turtle Center and 7 Mile Beach. Then you have Georgetown, the capital of Grand Cayman. It's home to shops, restaurants, historic landmarks, and a vibrant waterfront where cruise ships dock, and that's where you'll find Owen Roberts International Airport. Town is a historic area on the southern coast. It's less touristy, but still has beachfront accommodations and is centrally located. The north side is a secluded, scenic region known for its natural beauty and serene beaches, plus attractions like Rum Point, Cayman Kai Public Beach, Starfish Point. The east end is a more rugged, secluded part of the island, and it offers natural beauty, fewer crowds, wreck of the 10 sail, Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park, and access to dive site. Don't worry about writing this information down unless you want to take notes. I'll put all of the information in my blog, including all the links and maps that can't fit in the description box. So be sure to check out my blog link in the description if you want to read through it at your leisure. So now we know a little bit more about how Grand Cayman is laid out. Let's talk about how to get around. You have 3 transportation options to get from the airport to your accommodations and around the island. There's a taxi, car rental, or public bus. Let's talk about each of them. Starting off with taxis. I recommend taking a taxi for short stays of less than a week, because taking the taxis, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to get around the island. They're reliable, clean, friendly, with great service, and most taxis are actually vans, so they can accommodate larger groups and families. If you decide to take a taxi from the airport, after customs, just walk out of the large glass doors and go to the right. Taxis are readily available at the designated taxi stands outside the airport. An attendant will ask you the number of people in your party and the amount of baggage you have, then direct you to a specific taxi. It is really organized. And outside of the airport, if you want to summon a taxi, you can ask your accommodations or a restaurant to call the taxi for you. Also, you can check to see if your hotel offers on-site taxi services. We stayed at the Kempton Seafire Resort and Spa, which had on-site taxis ready and waiting to take us wherever we wanted to go. It was really convenient. Or if you're in the street, just wave your hand. We did this at the marina after a tour, and the taxis are just buzzing around the island, so just wave one down. So how much do taxis cost? The cost depends on the number of people and the distance. So on average for 4 adults, a short trip for like 10 minutes will cost you $10 to $15 US. To take a taxi from the airport to Georgetown or the 7 Mile Beach area, it takes around 15 to 25 minutes depending on traffic and the exact location on the island. But it should cost between $20 and $30 US. We paid the regulated $25 fare. And if you're going to Town, it's about $55, or East End, it's about $105. If you're gonna take a taxi to get around Grand Cayman, here are my tips. If you like your taxi driver, ask for their name, their phone number, and their working hours, and save the information in your phone so you can call them for a ride if needed. It's almost like having your own private chauffeur for the day on call. And this is true especially for staying in Airbnbs where taxis may not regularly drive. Also know that cash is king, and few of the drivers actually accept credit cards, so always have at least $20 to $50 US for rides and smaller notes available to you, and you'll find that you'll get quicker service with cash. Or it can be in Grand Cayman dollars as well. You can also download the free CI Go app from Apple and Android before you go to price out your route. Enter the number of people traveling in your party, your baggage needs, and the route. But know that that app can be buggy and crash, and so the best way to estimate your expenses is to ask a driver before you get in the cab. Now that we know one of the best ways to get around Grand Cayman is to take a taxi, the second way to get around Grand Cayman Island is to rent a car. Rental cars are recommended for longer stays of a week or more, or those who just want a little bit more freedom in their itinerary. To rent a car, you must be at least 21 years old, have a credit card, and insurance. So where do you rent a car in Grand Cayman? I actually suggests reserving a car online in advance from any number of popular rental car companies. There's also a rental company booth inside the airport terminal with locations 2 minutes right across the street from the airport, so it's really convenient. Rental car rates depend on the size of the vehicle, the season, whether it's off-peak or peak between December to April, car seats, and insurance. Rental cars can cost as low as $20 a day for an economy compact vehicle for 2 people to up to around $100 a day for a full-size SUV. And as you're thinking about how to budget for a rental car, there are additional fees you need to be aware of, like gas. Don't forget to budget for the cost of gas. Gas prices range from around Canadian $4.50 or US $5.40 per imperial gallon, which is slightly larger than a US gallon size for self-service, to around $6 Canadian or $7.20 US for full service. Gas prices vary and are published daily by the Utility Regulation and Competition Office, or OFREG, and I'll put the link in my blog in the description box. There might be an age surcharge if you're under 25 or over 70 years old, or you may not be able to rent a car at all. And of course, if you return your car late, there are astronomical charges, so don't do that. You also might have read somewhere about a temporary driver's license fee, but that's no longer required. Since around 2019, per the Cayman's Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing, DVDL, visitors can drive with their country's license, but it must be valid for the class of car that you're trying to rent. So if you have a motorcycle license, don't try to rent a car, and vice versa. Finally, shop around online in advance for the best rates. And I'll put a link in my description and blog to company rates where you can compare and get the best options for your trip. I didn't choose to drive on the island, I took taxis, but I did make some observations of driving. So here are my driving tips. Grand Cayman is a British territory, so you drive on the left side of the road. So ensure that you get a car with a right-handed steering wheel for ease of driving and to not get entirely confused while you're there if you're coming from the United States. You can't drive a full circle around the island. You have to travel through the coast of Georgetown, Bodentown to reach the north side and then retrace your steps back. It's also illegal to use cell phones to talk or text while driving. Hands-free devices are okay, but don't get caught with it in your hands. Parking is also available on the island and for free and sometimes paid, so check your accommodation to see if they offer free valet or parking services. Our hotel included free valet and parking spaces in the guest amenity fee, so check your accommodations there too. You also want to consider insurance. We saw some interesting maneuvers while there, especially in the roundabouts. Driving in Cayman can be tricky, especially in those roundabouts. They even have a dedicated video of how to do it, so check that video out. Check if your car insurance or credit cards like American Express Platinum or Chase Sapphire Reserve covers you in the Cayman Islands. And always carry proof of insurance. My Chase Sapphire Reserve card has primary coverage in Grand Cayman for up to $70,000. If you want to learn more about that card, I'll put that link in my blog and description as well. The third way to get around Grand Cayman is to take public transportation via bus. Public minibus routes cover all of Grand Cayman. Metro, train, or tram services are not available on the island. And don't look for a large city bus or a double-decker. These are minibuses and look like regular 12 to 14 passenger vans that have a color-coded public bus written on it for the route. There are designated bus stops, but you can even flag one down by waving if you see one on the street. If you want to get off, just let your drivers know and tell them where you want to get off before you board. Similarly, communicate with the bus driver if you're looking for a return route or a ride, because if there's no one stopping there, they're less likely to actually go there, so let them know in advance. The public minibuses run Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. with limited service from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays. There is a specific bus route, so check that out and save it to your phone before you go. But if you want to take the bus from the airport, walk across the street towards the rental car areas. Wave down the number 3 bus, which comes every 15 minutes except for Sundays, which it comes every hour. There's not a lot of space for luggage on the bus, so use a taxi if you have more than a few pieces of baggage with you. The cost of a bus ride for short trips is around $2 to $2.50 Canadian dollars, or $2.40 and $3 US, or round trip $5 Canadian dollars or $6 US dollars. To get to the East End is usually $3.50 Canadian or $4.20 US. To get to Cayman Kai is usually $8 Canadian or $9.60 US. And for some drivers, if you want to deviate from the route a little bit, that might be an additional $1 to $3 Canadian dollars or $1.25 to $3.60 US. To ride the bus, you have to bring cash to pay for your ride. Drivers have change, so make sure you bring those smaller bills. The public minibuses also offer a special New Year's Eve service. As part of the Purple Ribbon Pledge to not drink and drive, the Purple Ribbon Bus offers free service from major shopping areas on New Year's Eve. There's even a free luxury limo bus express service at select hotels on 7 Mile Beach. Check out Compass Media's Arrive Alive 345 for more details. And y'all, I love public transportation and have talked about it extensively on my travels in places like Chicago, Paris, Rome, London, Athens, Dubai, but in Grand Cayman, I wouldn't recommend taking a bus because the schedule isn't predictable and as a result, not really reliable, and it's not very accessible. So if you don't mind waiting in the heat and you want to save money, then go for it. But otherwise, I would either take a taxi or rent a car. Now that you know how to take a taxi, rent a car, and take the bus to get around Grand Cayman, here are some alternative ways to get around Grand Cayman Island. One alternative way to get around is to take the ferry. It's a high-speed catamaran that connects the north side of Grand Cayman to the west side 7 Mile Beach area. You can get picked up at Camana Bay, Caibo at Rum Point, or Newlands. The ferry runs daily from 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. and the ride takes about 20 minutes, so check the schedule for specific times and locations and know that they are closed on holidays. The cost of the ferry is around $12.50 Canadian dollars or $15 US each way, or $25 Canadian or $30 US return for adults. Kids under 44 inches tall are free. Those above 44 inches are half price with an adult, and you must be accompanied by an adult at all times. To purchase tickets, visit the site and download the Cayman Ferries app because you cannot purchase tickets on board. Another alternative way to get around is through scooters and bicycles. Bike rentals from a docking station are available through Cycle Cayman. The cost is $1.45 Cayman or $1.75 US for a minute, 13 Cayman dollars or $15.61 US per hour, up to 60 Cayman dollars or 72 US dollars for a 6-hour rental at select locations in Camana Bay and Georgetown. Download the app to pay and use those bikes, and there are bike lanes in Georgetown and trails available. You also have bird scooters for $1 Cayman and $1 Cayman per minute or $1.20 in the US. To take one of the bird scooters, you just have to download the app to unlock the scooter and pay for your rides. There are also mopeds for 50 Cayman dollars a day or 60 US dollars with helmets and driver's license required. But unless you're in a shopping area, I don't recommend taking these because some drivers honestly don't know how to share the roads and there are accidents, so rent at your own risk. There are also free shuttles, which are a sometimes overlooked part of planning a trip to Grand Cayman. I think it's totally underrated. And certain attractions or tour companies may have a free shuttle service to and from major hotel areas like 7 Mile Beach at certain times during the day. Check the company and/or accommodation for those hours. For example, the Cayman Turtle Center has a free shuttle to and from the center to area hotels at select hours. Stingray City Cayman Islands Company offers a free shuttle with all of their tours, and the Grand Cayman Resort has a complimentary shuttle service for guests. So what about walking? I always mention walking in all of my transportation videos, and it is possible to walk to certain places on the island, but it's really hot and not every location is pedestrian friendly. If you're located near a shopping area like Georgetown and can see the sidewalks, then go for it. And if you want to walk the beach, I highly recommend it. But walking from one part of the island to the other can be hot and treacherous, so walking isn't really recommended. So if you can't walk and it seems like taxis are a little bit more expensive, what about rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft? Well, I hate to break it to you, but Uber and Lyft are not available on the island. So download those ferry and bike apps, and you can even try the Island Go app, which also might be a little bit more expensive than taking a taxi, but you can always ask for that taxi driver's number if you find a great one that you love and you want to continue to use throughout your stay. Those are a few alternative ways to get around Grand Cayman, and you know the 3 major ways to get around Grand Cayman. So now what happens if you're on a cruise and you want to go from the cruise port to Georgetown? The cruise terminal in Georgetown is located right in the city center. The 3 terminals, North, South, and Royal Watler. You have to tender to get to the island, but you are right there. And since the port is located in Georgetown, restaurants and shopping are available, but you will need to get a ride to 7 Mile Beach or other attractions outside of the Georgetown area. Some cruises offer shuttle services or pre-arranged tours directly from the terminal to popular destinations on the island, so check your cruise app for current rates. Taxis are readily available at the cruise terminal and offer trips around the island. Short trips can cost around $10 to $20 depending on the destination. And some people may feel pressured to pay for a round trip in a taxi. Don't do that. Just pay one way and grab a taxi on the way back. And remember, if you want that return trip, be sure to get your taxi driver's number. Or just hail one off on the streets, but make sure you have plenty of time to get back to the cruise terminal, too tender to get back on your ship. With all these methods, which one would you use to get around the island and why? Do you think it's better to rent and drive a car, pay for a taxi, or is a bus the best option? Share your opinion and any additional information you have about transportation in Grand Cayman in the comments below. We took a taxi everywhere because of our short trip and it worked really well for us. And it was actually cheaper than renting a car. But knowing how to get around Grand Cayman is really important, and so is knowing how much you can expect to pay for a vacation on the island. So watch my Planning a Trip to Grand Cayman playlist over here to get an estimate of how much you can expect to pay for your vacation and a resort tour of where we stayed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!